My name is Ethan Vance. I'm 32, and the last time my father truly acknowledged me was the day I informed him I was joining the service instead of pursuing the medical career he'd spent 18 years shaping for me. That moment was 14 years ago. Today I'm positioned in the back row of St. Augustine's Abbey, observing my high-achieving sister Marissa exchange vows with her equally accomplished fiancé Charles, while Dad beams from the front pew as if he personally choreographed this perfect event. The irony isn't lost on me that I had to fly back from Kandahar for this, cutting short a highly classified operation acknowledged by 3 governments, just to witness my family act as though I'm invisible. Ethan, my cousin Samuel, slides into the pew beside me, his voice a hushed tone that somehow still conveys judgment. I'm surprised you made it. We heard you were still overseas. The way he pronounces overseas makes it sound like I'm vacationing through Europe, rather than conducting counterintelligence missions in one of the world's most volatile regions. But I offer a small smile and nod, because that's the response I've learned to give. Let them believe what they choose to believe. Wouldn't miss it, I murmur, adjusting the simple dark suit I selected specifically to avoid drawing attention. In my profession, blending in is a matter of survival. In my family's world, it's apparently confirmation that I've achieved nothing of significance. The ceremony unfolds with all the grandeur my mother always envisioned for Marissa anyway. When I graduated from the Naval Academy, she'd managed a rigid handshake and a remark about how unorthodox my choices were. When Marissa graduated law school, Mom hosted a celebration for 200 guests and hired a professional photographer. As the happy couple shares a kiss and the assembly erupts in applause, I momentarily catch Dad's eye. He looks straight through me, just as he has for more than a decade. The same way he looked at me when I returned home after my initial deployment. When I attempted to tell him about the work I was doing, the lives we were saving, he simply redirected the conversation to Marissa's promotion at the firm. The reception is held at the Grand Imperial Hotel downtown because, naturally, it would be. Marissa has made a name for herself, a senior associate at Dad's former law firm, engaged to the son of a federal judge. Everything Dad ever wanted in a child. Everything he received. I find myself at the bar, nursing a club soda and watching my family navigate the room like the political strategists they are. Dad is recounting Marissa's recent triumph in a high-profile case to anyone who will listen. Mom is proudly introducing her new son-in-law to the society wives she's been striving to impress for 3 decades. Ethan, right? I turn to find a tall man in his 50s, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes. He possesses the demeanor of someone accustomed to leadership, despite being in civilian attire. Yes, I reply cautiously. Marissa mentioned she had a brother. I'm Robert Harrington, Charles's father. He extends his hand. The judge. Ah, the federal judge. I shake his hand, curious about what version of me Marissa has conveyed to her new father-in-law. Congratulations, I say. Charles seems wonderful. He is. And Marissa tells me you're in the service. There's something in his tone that diverges from my family's usual dismissiveness. Something that sounds almost like respect. I am. Army. Yes, sir. He nods slowly, scrutinizing my face. How long? 14 years? That's substantial. He pauses. What's your MOS? Now he has my full attention. Most civilians don't know to inquire about military occupational specialty. 35 series, I state, keeping it vague. Intelligence. His eyebrows rise slightly. 35 series. That covers a broad spectrum. It does. From basic intelligence analyst to the kind of work that doesn't officially exist. But I merely nod. Ethan. My mother's voice slices through our conversation like a sharp blade. She approaches with Charles's mother in tow, both of them glittering in their designer gowns. There you are, lurking by the bar. The way she says lurking makes it clear she wished I'd hidden more effectively, preferably in another state. Mr. Chen was just asking about you, Mom continues, her smile strained. I was telling him how you're still figuring things out. Mr. Chen, bless him, looks uneasy. I'm sure Ethan has found his path. Oh, he's in the Army, Mom says with a laugh that sounds like shattering glass. Has been for years. We keep hoping he'll settle down. Maybe use that discipline in a more traditional way. I feel Judge Harrington stiffen beside me. He knows. Somehow he knows that what my mother just said is akin to calling a neurosurgeon a first aid volunteer. Traditional can be overrated, he says quietly. But Mom is on a roll now, likely fueled by champagne and the intoxicating presence of such inherited wealth. We always said Ethan was our little rebel, never wanted to follow the family path. Dad used to joke that he'd rather play soldier than work in the real world. The air in the room seems to thin. I see Judge Harrington's jaw tighten. Conversations around us continue, but I can feel the shift in energy, like a storm front moving in. Mom, my voice is calm, controlled. Maybe we should... Oh, he's always been so serious, Mom continues, gesturing with her champagne flute. Even as a child, we tried to get him interested in normal things, dance classes, piano, college prep, but he always had his nose in some military history book, or was doing push-ups in the backyard. Mr. Chen looks mortified. Judge Harrington looks dangerous. Of course, we're proud of him, Mom adds, the words hollow as a campaign promise. It's just, well, when your other child is making partner and marrying a judge's son. She shrugs as if to say, what can you do? That's when Marisa appears, Charles on her arm, both of them glowing with newlywed bliss, and Dom Perignon. What are we talking about? Marisa asks, that easy smile that's gotten her everything she's ever desired. Your mother was just telling us about Ethan's career, Judge Harrington says, and there's something in his voice that makes Marisa look at him sharply. Oh, Ethan's the soldier in the family, Marisa says with a laugh. Always was the tough one. I'm more the brains, he's more the muscle, I guess. The muscle. 14 years of service and I'm the muscle. He's so dedicated, Charles adds, and I can hear that he's attempting to be kind. Marisa says, you've been overseas a lot. Some, I say. It's dangerous work, Mom says, and now her voice has taken on that specific tone she uses when she wants people to feel sorry for her. We worry constantly. All those combat zones. Mom, I'm not in combat. Well, it's all dangerous, isn't it? She waves her hand dismissively. All that military stuff. Judge Harrington sets his drink down on the bar with more force than necessary. The sound cuts through the ambient noise like a gunshot. Excuse me, he says, and his voice has gone very, very quiet. Mr. Vance, when you say military stuff, what exactly do you think your son does? Mom blinks, caught off guard by the intensity of his question. Well, he's a soldier. He follows orders, I suppose. Stands guard, maybe. I've never really understood. Standing guard. Judge Harrington repeats the words like they taste bitter. Mr. Vance, with respect, I don't think you understand who your son is. The little circle we formed has gone dead silent. Marisa and Charles exchange glances. Mom looks confused and slightly offended. I beg your pardon, Mom says. Judge Harrington turns to look at me, and I see something in his eyes that I haven't seen in my family's faces in 14 years. Recognition. You served in Afghanistan, he says. It's not a question. Yes, sir. Iraq? Yes, sir. How many tours? I feel the walls closing in. This isn't how I wanted this to unfold. 7 total. Mom's face goes white. 7 tours is a lot, even for a career soldier. 35 series, Judge Harrington continues, his voice getting quieter and more dangerous. Intelligence. 7 tours in combat zones. He pauses. What's your current rank, Ethan? The question hangs in the air like smoke. I can feel my family's eyes on me. Can sense their confusion shifting into something else. Something that might be the beginning of understanding. Lieutenant Colonel, I say quietly. The silence that follows is absolute. In the middle of a reception for 300 people, our little corner of the universe has gone completely still. Lieutenant Colonel, Judge Harrington repeats, and now his voice carries the weight of someone who understands exactly what that means. At 32, in intelligence with 7 combat tours. Mom's champagne flute slips from her fingers and shatters on the marble floor. The sound jolts everyone back to the present. I don't, she stammers. Mr. Vance, Judge Harrington says, and his voice is gentle now, almost pitying. Your son isn't playing soldier. He's not standing guard at some base in Kansas. Lieutenant Colonel Vance is what we call a rising star in military intelligence. 7 tours means he's been hand-selected for the most critical operations. At his rank, at his age, with his specialty. He pauses. He's probably briefed generals, possibly even briefed the Joint Chiefs. Marissa has gone very, very pale. "Ethan," she says. I don't answer. Can't answer, because Judge Harrington isn't done. "The kind of work Lieutenant Colonel Vance does," he continues. "The kind of intelligence operations that require 7 tours in active combat zones. That's not something you volunteer for. That's something you get chosen for by people who've looked at your record and decided you're one of the best minds in the business." Dad has appeared at Mom's side, probably drawn by the sound of breaking glass. He looks at the shattered champagne flute, then at Judge Harrington's face, then at me. "Ethan," his voice is small, uncertain. "The 35 series encompasses everything from basic intelligence analysis to counterintelligence operations," Judge Harrington explains, his voice carrying now, drawing attention from nearby guests. "But 7 tours. 7 tours means black operations, means saving lives, means preventing attacks." He looks directly at Dad. "Means your son has probably prevented more terrorist attacks than you've filed lawsuits." The circle around us has grown. People are listening now, sensing drama, sensing a story unfolding. "I tried to tell you," I say quietly, looking at Dad. "After my first deployment, I tried to explain what I was doing, but you..." I trail off. "You changed the subject to Marissa," Judge Harrington finishes for me, and his voice is ice. "You changed the subject to your daughter's promotion at a law firm, while your son was literally keeping this country safe." "I didn't know," Dad whispers. "You didn't ask," I say. The silence stretches out, broken only by the distant sound of the band playing in the main ballroom. Finally, Charles speaks. "Ethan, we had no idea." "Because no one ever asked," I repeat. "In 14 years, no one in this family has ever asked what I actually do. You assumed I was some kind of enlisted grunt with a gun, following orders and staying out of trouble. You never corrected us," Marissa says, but her voice lacks its usual confidence. "I tried for years. I tried, but every time I came home, every conversation was about your cases, your promotions, your achievements. There was never room for mine." Judge Harrington clears his throat. "If you'll permit me, Ethan, I'd like to share something with your family." I nod, not trusting my voice. He turns to address the growing crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've had the privilege of working with military intelligence in my capacity as a federal judge. I've seen classified briefings. I've worked with some of the finest minds in our armed forces." He pauses. "Lieutenant Colonel Vance represents the absolute elite of that community. The kind of officer who gets called to Washington, the kind of officer who gets invited to brief the Secretary of Defense." Mom makes a small sound like a wounded animal. "The operations he's been part of, the lives he saved, the attacks he's prevented." Judge Harrington shakes his head. "That's classified information, of course, but I can tell you this. Your son is a genuine American hero. The kind of person who runs toward danger while the rest of us run away from it." Dad is crying now, tears streaming down his face. "Ethan, you..." "What, Dad?" My voice is steady, controlled. "You're proud? You're sorry? You want to make it up to me?" "Yes," he whispers. "All of that." I look around at my family. Mom's still white-faced and shaking. Marissa's struggling to process this new reality. Dad broken and crying, and the crowd of wedding guests who are staring at me like I'm some kind of exotic creature they've never seen before. "The thing is," I say quietly, "I don't need your pride anymore. I don't need your approval or your understanding or your apologies. For 14 years, I've protected this country and everyone in it, including all of you, while you dismissed me as a disappointment." I turn to Judge Harrington. "Thank you, sir, for seeing me, for understanding." He nods gravely. "It was an honor, Colonel." I start to walk away, then pause and turn back to my family. "For what it's worth," I say, "I'm proud of Marissa. I'm proud of her success, her marriage, her achievements. I always have been. The difference is, I never needed her to fail for me to succeed." The crowd parts as I walk through the reception hall, headed for the exit. Behind me, I can hear the murmur of conversations starting up again. Can feel the weight of eyes on my back. At the coat check, I hand the attendant my ticket and wait for my jacket. As I'm putting it on, I hear footsteps behind me. Ethan. I turn. It's Marisa, still in her gown, still looking stunned. I'm sorry, she says simply. I'm so terribly sorry. I know. I had no idea. We had no idea who you really are. I smile at that. The first real smile I've felt all day. Yes, you did, Marisa. You've always known who I am. You just never thought it mattered. She opens her mouth to argue, then closes it again, because she knows I'm right. Will you? She swallows hard. Will you come to Christmas? Will you give us a chance to do better? I consider this. Consider whether I want to give them another chance to see me, to know me, to value me. Maybe, I say finally, if you can handle having a genuine American hero at your dinner table. She laughs, a sound caught between relief and tears. I think we can manage. I walk out into the cool evening air, pulling my phone from my pocket. I have 7 missed calls from Fort Meade and a text that simply says, "We up in 6 hours. Pakistan needs our guy." Our guy, not the family disappointment, not the soldier playing dress-up. Our guy. I hail a taxi and slide into the back seat, already mentally shifting gears from the emotional battlefield of my family to the actual battlefield waiting for me halfway around the world. Airport, I tell the driver. As we pull away from the hotel, I catch a glimpse of the reception through the windows. All those people in their expensive clothes, living their safe, comfortable lives, never knowing that their safety depends on people like me. People they'll never see coming, never understand, never fully appreciate. And you know what? That's exactly how I like it. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. This is Judge Harrington. Your sister gave me your contact information. I hope that's all right. I wanted you to know what I said there was just the beginning. You're remarkable, and your family's lucky to have you. The country is lucky to have you. I type back, thank you, sir. It meant everything. Another buzz. This time, it's Marisa. Come home for Christmas, please. We want to know who you really are. I stare at the message for a long moment, watching the city lights blur past the window. Then I type, we'll see. But as the taxi carries me toward another mission, another country, another chance to do what I do best, I find myself thinking that maybe, just maybe, it's time to let my family see the man I've become. After all, I spent 14 years becoming someone worth knowing. Maybe it's time they met him.